today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Naomi Valle's first professional loss to Italy's own Federica Macri, who established her aggression and her pursuit of Naomi early on and was met with movement and hesitance. Naomi looked flustered out there. The reason I think she lost was she fought the wrong fight. Trying to stay on the outside of a fighter that's noticeably taller and noticeably longer, you're basically keeping yourself at the end of their punches where the most power is. Trying to stay on the outside. It's the reason I think that she lost. Circling away, not engaging enough, not giving Federica enough to think about. Worst part is that Naomi could have. In those few moments where they were trading punches on the inside, Naomi was getting in with some good stuff, some good right hands. She just didn't do that often enough. Flustered by the come-forward pressure of Federica. Federica established herself early on as the aggressor and Naomi as the defender. In that way, Federica was the ring general. From the start, Naomi was doing little more than holding whenever Federica would crash the pocket. It's not until after 2 or 3 rounds that Naomi starts to settle in a little more and starts landing good shots, good punches. But by then, it was sort of too little and too late, and she herself wasn't doing that often enough. Fighting fire with fire. That would have been a better strategy. When you're fighting a fighter that's taller than you are, you're better off staying close to them and staying with them than moving away. Moving away, you're basically keeping yourself at the end of their punches. And so Naomi Valle's MVP debut was not a success. She has suffered her first professional loss. I don't think it's the end of the world. She can learn from it. But I remember hearing in the build-up that Naomi Valle is studying to be a pilot. She aspires to be a pilot. And I just thought to myself, I wonder if she can juggle both successfully. An aspiring career as a pilot and a budding career as a pugilist, being a boxer. It's a very jealous sport that demands a lot. Supreme focus, and sometimes even that's not enough. She can recover, she can rebound, but I wonder if she will reach the heights of her older sister, Yokasta Valle, and have the same success in her professional career that her sister has had, or maybe Naomi's mind is just on other things. One way or another, she fought the wrong fight yesterday. You don't try to stay on the outside of a taller, longer fighter. You crash the pocket. You bring the fight to them. You smother them. You don't let them push you around like a log down a stream. That's why she lost. She fought the wrong fight. Elsewhere on that same undercard, unbeaten Tamtibo took on a then unbeaten Cristina Mazotta of Italy and stopped her in the very first round off a well-placed 1-2 combination. The jab, then the straight. Right down the pipe. Dropped her like a sack of potatoes. What is the second unbeaten fighter that Tamtibo has stopped consecutively in her last 2 outings. Of course, there was a noticeable difference in the fighter's ability, and you could see that just seconds into the first round. Tamtibo is fast emerging as one of the hottest prospects. She's got all the makings of what could be the most dominant fighter the middleweight division will have seen in many, many years, and it helps a whole lot that she's got a major promotional outfit behind her, because this fight only lasted 1 round, and there are still several months remaining in this calendar year. I really would like to see Tamtibo one more time before this year is out, currently ranked at number 8 via the World Boxing Council. How close is she to fighting for a title? Number 5 via the WBO, number 1 via the IBF, and number 1 via the WBA. It's important to note that 2 of the 4 major titles at this weight remain vacant as a result of Kay Scott's draw with Olivia Curry a little over a week ago when they fought. Both of those titles were on the line, but because the fight ended in a draw, there was no real outcome, and thus no champion was crowned. So those 2 titles are still up for grabs, as Tamtibo is still racking up wins, racking up knockouts, climbing up the ranks, currently ranked by all 4 alphabet organizations, all 4 sanctioning bodies. She's closer to fighting for a title with some than others. I don't anticipate she fights for the WBC, because Tamtibo's fights have been billed for 3-minute rounds, and we all know the World Boxing Council doesn't want to sanction a women's boxing match for 3-minute rounds. She could always go for the others. Currently, there's only 1 reigning champion at this weight, just 1. Australia's own Desley Robinson, who holds both the IBF and WBO titles. She's set to return to action very soon.
MVP signed her.
She'll be fighting 3 weeks from now against America's Logan Haller on the undercard of Lourdes Juarez versus Jessica Neri Plata. In defense of her 2 alphabet titles, we'll see if she can keep them, because if she can, Tam has the option of either challenging her straight away or picking up a title en route to a fight with her so they can bill it as a unification match. I view Tam is the hottest unbeaten up-and-comer, the hottest prospect anywhere at or around these weights, and could bring all the excitement to the middleweight division and perhaps in the future the super middleweight division that they've been missing. There are enough familiar names to go around in today's middleweight division that she can keep busy with Marisela Cornejo, Lolita Musea, Kay Scott, Olivia Curry, the both of them.
Melinda Watpool. These are all fighters that have been around the block.
There's enough there in today's middleweight division that Tamtibo has not just the opportunity to establish herself as a champion, but one of the most dominant fighters in women's boxing. I could see that in the next year or two, and I'm looking forward to her next fight, as stated, because yesterday's fight ended so abruptly. I wouldn't mind seeing her one more time before this year is out.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, Toprank and Zuffa boxing, the chase for a media rights deal. A closer look at what's going on with Toprank, or what's not going on, and what's going on with Zuffa.
Dana White's baby.
As the calendar turned to the final quarter of the year, especially post-Labor Day, the stage seemed set for Toprank and Zuffa boxing to unveil new media rights. Instead, the can has been kicked further down the road. Have networks and streaming platforms gotten cold feet?
Were deals pulled amid merger talks that have recently surfaced? Several factors may explain why we've yet to see any movement on media rights agreements for either promotional company. Still, no media rights deal for Toprank, but do they have a friends with benefits arrangement with ESPN? When Toprank's homegrown talent, Xander Zayas, earned a unanimous decision win over Jorge Garcia on July 26, it marked the end of the promotion's media rights deal with ESPN, a partnership that had been in place since 2017. When ESPN announced its partnership with Toprank, brokered by the CAA Creative Artists Agency, specifically Nick Khan, now president at WWE, it triggered a domino effect across the boxing industry. In the wake of that deal, PBC signed with Fox Sports in 2018 and extended its contract with Showtime Sports, while Golden Boy Promotions entered a multi-year agreement with DAZN. If a political war hadn't already been brewing, these deals ignited one. The sides of the street conversations became the norm, and fans missed out on countless matchups because of it. Now in the final quarter of 2025, Toprank remains without a media rights deal. PBC is currently distributed via Prime Video under an agreement that allows the platform to host events without paying rights fees,
without giving them a budget.
While Golden Boy stands as the only U.S. promoter with a solid media rights partner in DAZN for now. In June, when Fights ATW asked Toprank's founder and CEO Bob Arum about the company's future with regard to a media rights deal, he responded, "We will be announcing an event, more robust programming starting in September, and that the new deal would be up to 40 events, so 3 outlets equals more activity."
He said that back in June. Fast forward to September, still no announcement, still no media partner.
August passed quietly, as expected, but signs of movement began to surface. Fighters under the Toprank umbrella started to take fights with other promotional companies to stay active, and the company appeared comfortable farming out their talent while its business affairs remained in flux. Meanwhile, an interesting thing began unfolding at ESPN. The network began attaching itself to boxing events via ESPN Deportes and ESPN Knockout, and even committed to airing club shows later in the year. Although it initially appeared that ESPN was stepping away from boxing altogether, it seemed they simply weren't ready to commit long-term to any one promoter. Fight cards featuring Oscar Valdez, Naoya Inoue, and others began surfacing on ESPN platforms, suggesting a more casual arrangement with Toprank. At times, it felt like ESPN was treating the relationship as a friends with benefits setup. For now, we'll put a pin in that and see if it evolves into a smaller scale deal, potentially making ESPN one of the 3 outlets Aram spoke of in June. While all that was happening in August, Fights ATW continued to hear rumblings of Top Rank working on a deal with Warner Brothers Discovery, a development the site has been tracking since December of last year. Warner Brothers Discovery seemed like a natural fit, having split their linear and streaming divisions and actively pursuing live sports entertainment. The CW signed WWE's Next back in 2023 and has been looking to expand its live programming slate. Meanwhile, TNT and TBS already air AEW shows, while HBO Max hosts AEW's archive and has begun streaming pay-per-view events. All signs pointed to Top Rank heading in that direction, with an announcement expected after Labor Day weekend. Shortly after the holiday ended, reports surfaced that Paramount and Skydance were looking to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, a move that would likely put any potential deals on hold until the dust settles. Then, on Friday, Collider.com reported that Netflix has also expressed interest in purchasing Warner Brothers Discovery. Whether Top Rank was in talks with Warner Brothers, Paramount, or Netflix, these potential mergers delay things for them. No company is likely to finalize a media rights deal while a merger is pending. For now, Top Rank is left to wait until the dust settles. Without the leverage it once held in 2017, and in a boxing landscape that is far less robust outside of the premium matchups.
But don't let the loud voice fool you. Zuffa Boxing might be in a similar position as Top Rank.
When Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford was formally announced on May 3rd, Dana White's Zuffa Boxing was soon named the promoter of record for the once-in-a-lifetime fight, which streamed globally on Netflix. For years, White had teased about his entry into boxing, but the plans never materialized until TKO, Turki El Sheikh, and Sella joined forces to form a promotional superpower. With the pieces finally in place, White made his long-awaited debut in September, and the event delivered over 41 million viewers worldwide. In August, TKO and Paramount announced a 7-year, $7.7 billion U.S. broadcast rights deal for the UFC beginning in 2026. That same week, White gave several interviews teasing that a Zuffa Boxing media rights deal would be announced shortly. He repeated the claim during Canelo vs. Crawford Fight Week, but on the Impulsive podcast with Logan Paul, White shifted tone, saying he was still working on a new boxing deal that would include 16 through 18 Zuffa Boxing events. So once again, what was supposed to be imminent has turned into something that is still in progress.
On Thursday, TKO Group Holdings CEO Mark Shapiro appeared on the Varsity with John Urand and stated that the Zuffa Boxing deal would be announced within the next 2 weeks. During the podcast, Shapiro added, "Where we produce about 12 to 16 events per year, and then beyond that, we're going to do about 2 to 4 super fights a year, like Canelo versus Crawford, where the undercard of those fights are Zuffa fighters." His comments stand in contrast to Dana White's recent statements. The public discrepancy between White and Shapiro doesn't bode well for a new boxing promotion trying to establish its legitimacy.
Despite the brash bravado that defines White's public persona, often used to deflect or obscure shifting narratives, it appears the can is being kicked down the road, and for the same reasons Top Rank hasn't secured a deal. With a major merger looming, there isn't time for those companies to expand their portfolios.
Now, what are the anticipated outcomes for Top Rank and Zuffa Boxing?
When it comes to who might reach the finish line first in securing a media rights deal, Zuffa Boxing appears to be the frontrunner, but not for the reasons you might think. The promotion will likely feature a roster dominated by club-level fighters, with only a handful of mid-level names. Any deal they sign with a network or streaming platform will probably come in at roughly half the nearly $90 million per year ESPN paid Top Rank during their partnership. Expect a short-term prove it kind of arrangement with certain financial incentives for bouts deemed super fights. With Top Rank, it's a little more complicated. The company boasts a deep boxing archive and maintains co-promotional contracts with Taken, Zenfer, and Eye of the Tiger. Some or all of may have been tied to the ESPN deal. If Top Rank secures another major platform, those partnerships are likely to resume in full. Boxing advisor Rick Glacier recently posted on X that Top Rank had reached a $12 million annual deal with Stars, but no official confirmation has followed. It is possible something is brewing with Stars, but it's unlikely to be Top Rank's only play.
However this unfolds, the expectation is that when the ball drops in Times Square on December 31st, both Top Rank and Zuffa will be busy filling their 2026 calendar, and who knows, they may be doing it under the same corporate roof. One thing is certain.
This final quarter is shaping up to be the most intriguing stretch of 2025 for the business of boxing.
What are the major takeaways of this comprehensive article? Any talks that Top Rank has been having with anyone are now in limbo due to impending mergers. That none of these broadcasters are going to make a long-term commitment while these mergers are pending. So that could explain what the delay is, why we haven't heard who Top Rank is going to be with yet.
The second major takeaway.
Zuffa Boxing, or TKO in many ways, is in the same boat as Top Rank and all the people that they've been talking to.
The third takeaway.
The only reason that Zuffa Boxing might announce a broadcast partner before Top Rank does is because their roster of fighters is a lot cheaper. You're talking about mid to low tier fighters, club level fighters. They're not going to cost you what a Keyshawn Davis would cost you, and Abdullah Mason would cost you. That's a pro.
What's the con?
Well, when your stable is primarily comprised of mid-tier fighters, you can only get but so far. Even with all the money that TKO has behind it, we don't know that this is going to work, because you're still relying on the boxing fans to take in this content, to gravitate towards it, and how are they supposed to do that when all you've really got are club-level fighters?
I don't see a casual audience, the casual boxing fan, gravitating towards that kind of programming. Maybe a few hardcores like me and you that are open-minded and willing to try something new, but the rest?
In case you haven't noticed, the American audience has a pretty short attention span, even worse when they don't recognize any of the fighters.
TKO has its own set of obstacles to overcome, its own set of problems, but the moral of the story is that in many ways, TKO is on the same boat as Top Rank.